I like to say that I hope every single woman out there is going to put herself back in the narrative of her story. We are so quick as women to, I'll do it after the kids are taken care of, after work gets done, after my husband's set up, after the kids go to college, after things quiet down, after summer. We never put ourselves first.
Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast, where powerhouse women break limits, claim their worth, and rise beyond good enough. I'm Jennifer Perri, a transformational coach, best-selling author, and fierce advocate for women reclaiming their power. After overcoming adversity from an abusive marriage to Guillain-Barré syndrome, I've made it my mission to help women rise above limiting beliefs, unlock their genius, and create lives of freedom, ease, and fulfillment. Each week, I sit down with 6- and 7-figure female entrepreneurs, executives, and visionaries who are rewriting the rules of success, building lasting impact, and owning their brilliance. Together, we'll share strategies, breakthroughs, and unfiltered conversations designed to inspire your clarity, confidence, and next-level power. This isn't just another business podcast. It's where transformation meets legacy and where unstoppable women rise. Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast. Welcome to the Next Level Women podcast, where women stop waiting and start choosing what's next. I'm your host, Jennifer Perri. I'm a reinvention strategist, a coach, an author, and CEO of Shiro Life and Empowerment Coaching. Each week, I sit down with powerful women who are redefining success and building lives on their terms. Today, I have a very special guest. It's Dr. Karin Hall, nurse practitioner. How are you, my friend?
I am so excited to be here. I'm fantastic.
I'm so excited you are here too. So just sit back for a second. I'm going to brag on you just for a couple minutes, but I want to tell everybody a little bit more about you. So Dr. Hall is a nurse practitioner, educator, healthcare advocate, and founder of Power of One Health. With more than 20 years of experience, she combines evidence-based and functional medicine to help people uncover the root causes of chronic illness and reclaim their health. She believes healthcare should be personalized. Patients deserve to be heard, and optimal health is a human right. And I love all of that. I love all of it because my life has been like crazy for the past 4.5 years. And I'm super excited to kind of dig in and talk with you about some of that. And every one of my episodes, I give a theme. And this one is the power of one choice, reclaiming your health, your voice, and your life. So I know quite a bit about you, but why don't you tell everybody else a little bit more about you?
Sure. First of all, I have to tell you that I love the power of one as your lead in and how power of one choice can change things, because that is literally power of one health, one choice, one decision can change the world. That's my firm belief. So I love this. So who am I? My name is Karin Hall. I'm a nurse practitioner with actually over 25 years, if I'm really going to age myself. Doing traditional medicine and most recently functional medicine. Um, I practice mainly in New York State. And I've practiced in others, and I've done a variety of different traditional medical background experience. My zone of genius has always been acute care, emergency medicine, hospital medicine. I've done everything from cardiovascular care to hospice and palliative care to primary care to long-term care, geriatric care. I've kind of been around, so I've seen all of it, but I've always been drawn to the acute care setting. And I have had the very good fortune of having amazing mentors and teachers along my journey who have really brought the good stuff, right? So I can see what works and what doesn't. And I've watched the system change over the last 25 years, and being on the inside and seeing where we miss the mark versus where we do it really well. I started seeing more of the miss the mark thing, particularly around women's health and the aging population. So that drew me into functional medicine and finding where we don't get the answers in the traditional setting Not because we don't have good practitioners, we just don't have a system designed around giving real information and empowering people to take back their health. So that's why the Power of One came to exist, because I really wanted people to reclaim ownership and advocacy. And because I do believe that health is a human right, and that doesn't have to be determined by your geography, your gender, your socioeconomic status. That is, we live in a world where equal healthcare should be worldwide, not regional.
Well, I appreciate you expanding on all of that because I can tell you up until what happened to me 5 years ago happened, I didn't really understand that much about functional medicine. Like I always went right for, I mean, my mother was in healthcare and you just go to the doctor. You go to the normal doctor well, the normal doctor or the doctor you're supposed to go to, your primary care doctor or specialist. And I didn't realize to go outside of it because I know the first time I really learned that there was something else out that was out there was actually my neurologist after I was paralyzed was talking about supplements. And he was like, well, I'm not your traditional kind of doctor where I'm just going to come in and say, you need to stay on gabapentin and you need to stay on this and you need to stay on that. Like, I want to talk to you about different supplements. And that was more on the functional medicine side of things. And I thought, wow, this was interesting. So what does that mean? And that's how I kind of started to explore down that path. And I'd like to say majority of everything I've done over the past few years has all been in the functional medicine space. But there is a very fine line between the two. And my traditional doctors have embraced the functional medicine side to a certain extent, where I have clients who are like, they won't even talk to each other. Like they think it's crazy. How dare you like put yourself, because what had happened to me was pretty intense. How dare you put yourself into the hands of supplements and people that don't do traditional medicine? So I've always been very intrigued in what you do. But so tell me, was there something like one thing in your experience that really changed the way you looked at medicine and wanted you to kind of create Power of One?
Ooh, I think it's been a full life journey,
Mhm.
a career journey. If people who knew me early in my career used to kind of, their statement was, Karin, get off your soapbox. Because even as a traditional medicine practitioner, and even in my early nursing career, I always felt like we leaned so heavy on pharmaceuticals and not on education and information. So I would kind of lament about that issue. And literally, my team would be like, oh, she's on the soapbox again, talking about nutrition, talking about prescribing. But I just felt like we were not following what seems much more holistic and natural. And like you, I had health challenges at a very young age. I had pretty significant renal failure and
Oh,
was
wow.
very reliant on the traditional healthcare system. And here's what I'll say, we do really great acute care. Like if you're dying, if there's a tragedy, yes, get to the hospital, see those docs. But we really don't embrace, or we haven't embraced, preventative medicine
Mm.
and individualized medicine. Everything is cookbook protocol. This is what the guidelines say. And we're kind of trained not to look outside of that too much. So I started doing that early on. I started my career, I did a lot of Ayurvedic studies and training early on as a teen and 20 something while I was putting myself through school. And that was always much more holistic. And I just thought, yeah, we're missing the boat. And people need to know how to prevent those acute or those long term chronic problems. And we don't give them those tools. So that pushed me. And then probably COVID came.
Mm.
And like every other practitioner, I was working in the intensive care unit. And again, the acute care setting, we didn't know what we were doing. We'd never seen this before. And even the traditional stuff didn't seem to work. But what we did do, and what a lot of new studies came up with during that time was, hey, nutrition matters, movement matters. Even in the intensive care unit, intubated and sedated, getting people prone, moving people, that all of that made a difference in outcomes. And I just thought we're still all this time not embracing that. And it just kind of pushed me into functional medicine. And thank God it did, because I've changed my health. And I get to now see particularly a lot of women who have in the traditional settings. The big complaint I get is nobody listens to me. They all think I'm crazy. They think it's just stress. I need to sleep more. Or my favorite is every woman gets told, you just need to lose weight. That's not that's not right. And we deserve better than that. Everybody deserves better than that. So I'm so happy that I'm here in this phase of my career. And I feel like I had great impact early on. And I still do traditional medicine. I'm still in the emergency department. I'm still in the ER. I haven't left that because it's been something I'm good at it, and I've done it for 25 years. But I see so much more. Like, I get energized when I see people say, "Oh my God, I get it. Wait, I get to own this, and it's not here's your pill." Yes, please. I love all of that. So that's how I got here.
I love all of that because you're right. I think as women, well, at least for me, COVID taught everybody everything. I mean, I swear, like we learned so much stuff from COVID about what works and what doesn't. And I think probably if anybody ever tries to say we need to go on a mask protocol again or 6 foot distancing or whatever, I don't know how many people are going to respond to that. Because now, like the after effects, you're finding out, well, did it work? Did it not work? And all that. And the vaccines are what changed my life. I mean, my Guillain-Barré came from an adverse reaction to my COVID vaccines. And that changed my life overnight. And there was a lot that I had to learn and obviously relearn how to walk and all those things. But for the past, I would say 3.5, 4 years, it went from, well, beforehand, you're getting towards menopause. Now everything's going to be menopause. Well, then it was for the past, few years, it's from Guillain-Barré. Like what happened to you, it's all this. So I'm like, okay, so all of this is because of what happened. We're not going to look at like maybe the root cause of what is underneath. Like there's still more. There's still so many things that are there. And I know you mentioned that in some of the stuff that I'd researched on you too about finding out and understanding the root causes of things rather than just we're just going to treat some symptoms over here or we're going to put you on this. Why do you feel that root cause healing is so important, especially for women?
Cool. So, a couple of reasons. Number one, because I have yet to see a prescription given to somebody for their diabetes or their blood pressure or their chronic illness cure anything.
Mm.
It quells the symptoms, it controls things, it reduces risk. But I think, again, it's more important that we find out why those chronic diseases exist and what we can do to change a trajectory. And I'm a firm believer. I don't know if you're familiar with Stacey Sims, but she's a well-known women's health advocate and exercise specialist. Who her statement that everybody kind of references is women are not small men. And when you look at the data in pharmaceutical research, 90% of it is done on men, white men. And when you think about what standard care follows, we follow what's the average normal. Well, average normal is, by the way, regional, and it's based on the data from studies done on average normal white men. That is never going to be you and I.
Right.
So individual medicine for women getting to root cause is extremely important. I hear so many women say, I've hit that perimenopause patient. Every doctor says it's just perimenopause or it's just menopause. It'll get better. Just you'll be okay, get through it. It'll pass. But what happens during that phase? These women are then being told you're gaining weight, your thyroid may be a little off, your cholesterol's going up, and nobody's teaching us that happens in part because our cholesterol and our thyroid and all those things, our adiposity, it's all tied to hormones. They all work together. We are one giant ecosystem of small systems. So if we don't empower women to understand that this process isn't simply a natural process and you'll get through it, we in the industry joke because we as women, I mean, I'm old enough to remember, Jennifer, when in grade school, girls got pulled aside into a separate class to be taught about you're going to start your period. This is what's going to happen. These things are going to develop. I don't ever remember getting a class being pulled aside and being told, here's what's going to happen when menopause hits. Here's what's going to happen when postmenopause hits.
Right.
We put a lot of energy into educating about our bodies when we're young to prepare us for child rearing, fertility, family planning. But my life didn't end after those times. In fact, it kind of got better. I think we deserve a little education on how we can take back ownership of our bodies and of what's happening to it, and our future health about what happens for me next. Because the big buzzword right now is longevity.
Mm.
But if we have to start talking about longevity in our 20s and 30s, not in our 50s and 60s. So I think it's very important that we get to the root cause of, instead of saying you have high blood pressure, here's your medicine, we're going to ask, why do you have high blood pressure? What's changed? What other things can we do that doesn't require a prescription? Can we change some lifestyle things? Maybe your stress is different. Maybe something else is off. I think it's worth looking at and giving some real information and answers, and not just being told it's just normal aging. Don't worry about it.
Well, and everything you're saying is just it's resonating so much with me because of what I have gone through over the past few years. Because I got tired, and I know so many women get tired of just it's being blamed on something.
Mhm.
Menopause, stress, an illness, they miss something. There's always an excuse almost. And I think I've been probably told I just need to lose weight for the past 50 years. You know what I mean? Like it's just, you just need to lose a little weight. Everything will be better. It's like a magical thing. Well, now the way that they're getting people to lose weight, I'm not anti GLP-1 or any of that. I'm not anti that. But you have to also know, like, that was an avenue that I was going to investigate. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it is beyond my control, and I'm trying to check all the systems, and I need to go in that direction. Well, I went and started working with a hormone therapist who's in functional medicine, and she was like, but if your body and your hormones are not balanced correctly, and you start down this path with one of those, it affects way
Mhm.
more than if you have your body is at a balance and a baseline and all that. And that was like, I felt so much better having that conversation with her because I felt like she was really watching out for me rather than saying, yep, you're overweight. You've tried everything. Let me start you on this shot, without any other conversation, checking hormones, anything else like that. So I have stepped up and become more of my own advocate about, even me, I'm a really hard blood stick draw. I mean, I just hate it. My blood pressure goes through the roof and it has to happen. And I stumbled across Rhythm and SciFox, where I do my own monthly checkups. And just in that little bit of information, like I've made adjustments and I'm watching levels change and my hormone, stepping in and becoming your own advocate. And I want to ask you, because I know you do so much around health advocacy. Why do you think for women it's really important, especially now with this day and age, the information, which can be a little bit of an overload? Why do you think being your own advocate in this time and space right now is important?
Ooh, I think it's always been important, but it's even more important now to have good information, because there's a lot of bad information out there. There's, if you're, and let's be honest, some of our younger generation is very much looking at what's happening on TikTok or what they're
Mhm.
hearing from Instagram. And there's a lot of influencers out there. And there was actually just a report put out earlier this month, that there's now fully AI generated physicians on websites promoting supplements or different things, selling products to people. These people don't exist. There's no real medical knowledge behind that. So I think to advocate for yourself is not only to be educated about your body, but also to be empowered to speak up with your clinicians, whoever that is, to use your voice, to not be shamed or dismissed, to be very strong in standing in what you want to understand, but also in being able to differentiate between, quite frankly, the BS that's coming from out there and real medically directed, guided information. And that's not to say, because there's a lot of talk right now about things like peptides and nutraceuticals or botanicals and supplements.
Mm-hmm.
And the FDA just met and talked about all the peptide use and some being a little bit looser regulated over other things. It's important that you understand where the data is coming from and where the science is coming from. But again, it's also knowing the information that's out there are done from studies that didn't include people like you and I. You would never be included in a research study or data collection because you have very unique historical medical issues that would, quite frankly, exclude you from participating. That means that you and I are not part of the standard treatment. So we have to be empowered to understand. We have to know where to go, who to ask, what to ask, how to ask, and where is that information coming from. And then we also have to be able to recognize that there's not a clinician out there that knows everything.
Right.
And they're limited by their sphere of exposure and experience. And that, me too, I don't know everything. And I'm the first one to say, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I know where to go to find that information. And having a clinician who sometimes is so certain and not curious should cause pause, because there's a lot still to be learned out there. And we need to stay current on what's being talked about and being promoted. So I think we have to advocate for ourselves because, quite frankly, nobody else is going to come along and do it for us.
Well, and it's interesting because I had a doctor in my life not that long ago, and I was working with a functional dietitian at the time because all of my systems were affected when I was paralyzed. So learning how to get everything up and moving again. And I went to my doctor and I had said, hey, this is kind of a path forward. I'd like to get your opinion on it. I mean, because she had been open to listening about the functional medicine and she was looking at the recommendations, like an action plan for me. And she agreed with it, completely agreed with it. And I looked at her and I said, well, I kind of said, no, I don't mean to come at you or anything like that, but I've been coming to you and asking you for solutions or some help sorting this out. And you agree with everything that was put forward. Is there a reason why you just didn't come up like with a plan like this for me? And she says, well, that's on the functional side. We're not taught anything about that. And I thought that was it was kind of a very, the way she said it was just kind of like well, it's not what I learned in school, so there was no desire to go any further and learn it myself. And I think that, and now I'm working with a doctor who is traditional medicine doctor, but completely embraces and looks at and studies, and he's younger. And I don't know if it's just because he was significantly younger than the other doctor, but he is stepping over into the side of saying, you know what? Yeah, let's not be going on and doing all this, stuff you don't really need. Let's try doing it through, lifestyle change or move more movement and things like that. So it's understanding, I guess, the importance of you're not trying to come in and say, well, I'm a doctor. Like, you're right. You can't take information from all that you're understanding and reading online. But I think you have to advocate for yourself. You have to, because you don't know who's going to be walking in that room and sitting there and saying, like, you could go and do all of these things over here before we even have to try you on a pharmaceutical. And that's the route that I wished I would have had and knew about 30 years ago. And I didn't even know the difference with, you see all these things that are popping up now for the weight loss medicine where you can go through all these companies online and a doctor reviews it and all that. But then you read into it, like the FDA is calling out, like, hey, watch using those. You don't know the pharmacies, you don't know the compounds, you don't know. But if you have spent your entire life trying to lose weight, get in shape, you've tried everything, you are going to gravitate to whatever you think is going to be that silver bullet. And you didn't gain all the weight overnight. You're certainly not going to lose it overnight. So when you start seeing some of those things, it just gets scary. There's just so much stuff that is out there, the information that we're living in now. Was there a part in um, your own health journey that really got you to the point of like, you know what, I really want to do what I'm doing now with Power of One to really help other people? I know you had said something about dealing with renal failure and things, but were you thinking about it then, or was it more like, hey, I'm watching all this stuff that's coming out around me and I really need to advocate on a much higher level now?
Um, so when I had my health issues, I literally was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. I was a little kid. I wasn't there yet, but the healthcare system traumatized me.
Mm,
It left a trauma. I mean, I knew I wanted to go into medicine and healthcare by the time I was 8 years old. By the time I had come through that health sickness, I had so much appreciation for the system, even as a kid, but I also was traumatized. Jen, when I tell you it would take a full-on straitjacket and 4 people to hold me down to get my blood work by the time I was a teenager,
mm,
I'm not kidding. When you're sick and you're in and out of hospitals and you're getting blood work every week and these people come at you, and let's be honest, the system's busy. We don't have time to prepare you. And back when I was a kid, there was no amla cream to numb your skin before we did. Like, we didn't have those things.
mm,
Traumatized. I had to literally force myself to go through donating blood to get to a point where I could go to nursing school, because I would pass out at the sight of a needle on TV. I was
oh my gosh.
it I did very dedicated work to get here, and I'm very happy to say that I came out better on the other side. I am a kick ass. If you need your labs drawn, I'm a one and done. We don't mess around, because I worked hard to make sure I did it well, because I
Mhm.
knew what it was like to be the patient. But as I watched the system kind of change, particularly over the last 5 to 10 years, I kept seeing how women and our geriatric population were being so blatantly dismissed. That, and then the request. I had so many of my patients in the hospital who would say, can't you just be my doctor? Can't you just be my practitioner? Like, I go to work at the hospital and I bring in my own like bone broth, because the ensure that we're giving everybody in the hospital is actually quite terrible for you, but it's what we have. So I still, even in the acute care setting, think outside the box.
Mm.
And it served me well, and it served some of my patients well. But it was really a matter of seeing and hearing so many women and so many older patients asking for help and being handed a prescription and no real information and no real support. The doctor that delivered me is the same doctor that was my provider until I was an 18-year-old, and he delivered half my family. He was the town doctor. Those people don't exist anymore.
Mm.
They're not that all encompassing. Let's step back, and it's not always about a prescription. Pharmaceuticals have taken huge hold, and they have a very big purpose. We need them. I'm not saying we don't, but nobody's stepping back. I mean, even when I go to my primary care doctor, there's not a lot of talk about, tell me about what you eat every day. How's your sleep? How's your stress? And if it is, it's about the mental health exam to say, do you need an antidepressant? That's not what we should be talking about.
Right.
So those are the things that stand out for me. That's why I love the functional medicine realm. And to be quite honest, studies have shown most primary care docs get less than 6 hours of training on nutrition. Less
Jeez.
than 6 hours out of all of their medical school. And they get even less than that on menopause training.
Oh
So,
yeah.
like, they're just not, it's not part of the system. It's not that we have bad clinicians so much as it is we just have a system that's not designed to serve people who actually want to own their health.
Yes. Everything you're saying is just so spot on. And I love the fact though that you're talking about it and that you're having these conversations, not just with me. I mean, this is part of what you do. And what do you hope that every woman who may stumble onto this or gets connected with you, what do you hope that she gives herself permission to do when it comes to her health?
I like to say that I hope every single woman out there is going to put herself back in the narrative of her story. We are so quick as women to, I'll do it after the kids are taken care of, after work gets done, after my husband's set up, after the kids go to college, after things quiet down, after summer, after we never put ourselves first. And we very often don't advocate for ourselves. I want every woman to know that she is more than worthy, more than deserving. And quite frankly, if you're not going to invest in your health, it's almost a disservice to all those people that you're trying to take care of because they don't get the best of you because you feel like crap, frankly. You can't serve from an empty vessel. I do believe that. So fill your cup. I mean, it's like flying on an airplane. They tell you to put your own mask on first before you have to
Right.
take care of yourself. And the better you feel, the better you can give, the more you can share. And I want every woman to know that they are deserving of not, I'm fine. They're deserving of, I'm freaking great. I'm optimal. I'm living my best life. Doesn't mean every day is great. It just means I know that I deserve this, not to suffer through every day feeling tired, dismissed, exhausted, inflamed,
Yeah.
whatever that.
My gosh, inflamed. God, that's another whole like podcast series. I mean, it is, it is. And you know what? I love all of what you just shared because I've noticed, especially with working for women for so long, is it almost takes a life altering situation to happen for somebody to finally say, okay, that was a close call. I'm going to now regroup and I'm really going to get serious about this.
Mhm.
Like, and I mean, I had that happen for my own life. I've seen it happen for so many other people's lives. You can choose today. It doesn't have to be something that happens, a catastrophic disaster in your life, something medically or financially, or you can choose today and realize that you deserve it and that you're worthy of it. Because you're right. If you're not here and all of these reasons why you're not prioritizing yourselves lose you, you know, what does it, I mean, yeah. So what does the next level for you? What is next for you? Like what is next for Power of One Health? What is next for Karin? Like do you have some big vision for your next mountain to accomplish?
I do. Some of which I can't share because I'm still building it. And it's, yeah. I mean, I've always said my entire career when I started my nursing career, I'm not out to change the world. If I can make one person feel better today about themselves or just make them smile, just make them feel seen or heard, that I've done my job. Like that's kind of always been my thing. However, now as I've evolved and as Power of One Health grows, I recognize that that might have been a little small thinking or that was a great startup, but it's time to move beyond that and say yes, world domination is possible.
Yeah.
but
Why not? Right?
but I
Why
can
not?
have, I know I've always known that I'm meant for bigger things. So yeah, I am looking at how to ways to grow this because the other thing that I struggled with when I started Power of One Health, because it is a bespoke or concierge style, I mean, it doesn't get to, I don't get to serve everybody. The people who are most in need, who maybe don't have the finances or don't have the means to buy into the program or get the services, I always struggled with that because I've
Mhm.
always believed in supporting the people who need it most. And that's where the health is a equal rights issue, in my opinion. Healthcare is. But what I've come to realize is that the best way for me to serve a bigger population is to grow this business to a point where I can then serve others in a different way, whether that's philanthropic or offshoots in clinics, and how to reproduce what I've built into smaller mobile resources that can be available for everyone, and how we can redesign ultimately the entire healthcare system so that it is much more personalized and far less protocolized and insurance driven, frankly. So that's, yeah, there's big things. For Karin personally, I'm as human as everybody else, Jen. I struggle with the same things everybody does. Motivation, showing up consistently, eating. Do I have bad nutrition days? Do I not work out? 100%. So for me, the mindset growth is step one for me, is acknowledging that I'm flawed, I have failings, but I'm going to keep showing up. I have a lot of work to do, and there's so much opportunity out there, and I can be an agent for good. And that's what's next for Karin, and Power of One Health is to be that engine that gets me out there.
Well, see, I know you more than most of these people do. So if there's one person that's going to do it, you're going to show up and do it. There's no doubt that you're going to do whatever it is that you want. I firmly believe that. And I want people to be able to find you and connect with you. And what is the best way for them to do that?
Just go to the website, and it's powerofonehealth.com. It's pretty straight. And then I do offer for people who are curious. If it's not on the website and you just want to check it out or chat, we do a free 15-minute consult for anybody that's interested and find out, is it a good fit? Do I have something that can serve you? I have so many different levels of package or opportunity to get in that it's not everything has to be highly expensive, but I'm a firm believer that if you don't invest in your health, which is your best investment ever, then I don't know what else to say. You have to invest in your health, but that's how they can reach me. It's usually straight through my website, powerofonehealth.com, or you can email me, Karin Hall at powerofonehealth.com, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, I have loved having you on here. I know we're probably going to do other things together. I'm pretty certain of that anyway. But thank you for coming on. Thank you for being such an advocate for women. And you know what? You do it in a way that you don't diminish. If somebody is on the traditional side of health and they have been that way their entire life, you open the door to possibilities on the other side. You're not beating somebody down for doctors or things that they've done. You do it in a way where it's like, hey, listen, you deserve to realize, or you deserve to know you are worthy of, let's figure some things out together. Let's do what's best for you. And I love that about you. And I've loved having you on here as a guest. So thank you for being on and for sharing your wisdom and insight today. And I know this is going to definitely be an episode that people are going to enjoy. But as we get ready to wrap up today, as you move on with the rest of your day, I'd like for you just to remember that the woman you're becoming is built in the decisions that you make next. So until we meet again, keep doing the work, keep choosing yourself, and keep rising into the life that's calling you. I will be here every step of the way, guiding you to your next level. Bye, everyone.